Coming up on today's guide, spelling by word building, recognising part of a word within a larger word, how to do it and improve your reading and spelling. Dyslexia, how students with specific learning problems may experience difficulties in other skills such as spelling, writing and reading. And parents and teachers share responsibility for the education of children. Our really useful guide to parent-teacher meetings helps you get the most of your children's schooling.
These days we're hearing more and more about specific learning difficulties. A specific learning difficulty means that you have difficulty with a certain area of learning. One specific learning difficulty we hear a lot about is dyslexia. Famous people who have had learning difficulties such as dyslexia include Richard Branson, Robin Williams and the poet W.B. Yeats. There's no one form of dyslexia though, so if you think you might be dyslexic, it's important to get as much information as you can. Specific tests may be necessary, and these tests can be carried out by an educational psychologist. The tests will indicate whether the difficulties are due to dyslexia or not and advise on an individual teaching programme. If you find out that you are indeed dyslexic, knowing what treatment is available to you can change your life, like Liam Hutton from Dublin.
There are many different forms of dyslexia and many different ways of describing what it is. Simply, dyslexia is a condition which makes it difficult for some people to learn to read, write and spell correctly. 18-year-old Liam Hutton from Donaghmede in County Dublin was first diagnosed with dyslexia when he was in 5th class in primary school.
At first I was kind of upset because I didn't understand what dyslexia was, and it was never really explained to me until later on in life. I got into 6th class and I met other dyslexic kids. The whole atmosphere was just kind of relaxed, and I started to feel a bit better in myself.
Liam wasn't so lucky, however, on starting secondary school, where he found himself back to square one.
I was put back into Irish. There was no extra help for me. It was just like, there, you're done. And I hadn't enough behind me. Like, I was a lot slower than the rest, and I'd be afraid to ask the teacher to slow down because the people would be like, oh, he's at it again. And then even reading out in class, I'd be stuttering, and like, people would be trying to finish it for me and hurry up, and oh, we want to get out of here. And it's kind of quite depressing at times, like kind of going home and not feeling that you're like a normal person, you were different, and it kind of hurt a lot of the times.
Like many people with dyslexia, Liam felt isolated, knowing he was intelligent but lacking the support to realise his full potential.
I knew myself that I was intelligent, like, because when it came to asking questions in class and it was just oral, like putting your hand up, I was forced to put my hand up every time. I ended up doing quite well on my junior cert for someone with dyslexia, I think. So it's kind of hard to look at the junior results and say, right, so I do have a bit of brains here, but I'm not living up to my potential.
Liam joined the Career Path Centre in Selbridge, a unique course run by people who themselves have dyslexia. The course aims to develop the skills, knowledge and experience of adults with dyslexia to a standard to help them enter the labour force. Mary Wafahi helps run the course.
The Career Path Centre is specifically designed for adults with dyslexia. It's up and running around 7 years now, and FOSS and the DAI got together. The DAI would be the Dyslexia Association of Ireland. They sponsor the programme and FOSS funds it. It's very unique in the sense that everybody in here is dyslexic, the students, the staff and the teachers. It's a 6-month course, but we say it's ongoing because it's very much worked on the individual's needs. They come in here on a 4-week trial basis, and under that 4-week umbrella we look at how they think, how they operate. So once we discover how they do it, an individual plan is set up. Now they work as a group for, I would say, about an hour of the morning through reading, discussing different programmes, comprehension, and then they go on to a spelling programme. And they would do spellings with the teacher. She would show them how to break it down, how to look at it, how they see it, how they would hear it.
And Jeff, have you a word?
Yeah, language.
Language. L-I-N-G. You in the centre, and ended in an AGE. Language.
And with each program, we have software in here, and they would go then to the computer, which is another aspect of a different way of teaching.
Reasons have not yet realised their full educational potential.
Dyslexia itself can also lead to other problems, such as lack of confidence and low self-esteem, problems which the staff themselves are only all too aware of.
I was quite upset a lot of the time, but like then you'd look at it and you'd be like, oh, I'm learning so much here and the people are so great, and it was the feeling then, like, it boosts me up tremendously, and I'm a normal human being, and it was great, like, to know that I could go on and do other things. And
not one dyslexic person is the same as the other. It's a very much an individual learning curve. 9 times out of 10, once the adult has the diagnosis, they really do want to change it.
When I was in the Career Path Centre, I'd done a bit of work experience for the company I'm working with now, Future Build Systems, and I was doing a kind of administration kind of / accountancy, both of them, and they asked me to go back and work for them, and I'm working there now, and they're trying to help me go on to do full-time accountancy.
Not only we look at the dyslexia, we look at the whole person, and we really, it's a great journey for them, and you know, once the journey begins, they never go back.
Today, now I feel, what's the difference? Everyone has some sort of disability, so I don't really care about it anymore. I'm more open about it, I feel happier about myself. I get the odd bit upset about it because, yeah, I'm not 100%. But who is? Like, who's perfect? So it doesn't bother me anymore.
And since filming, we've discovered that Liam has actually got his accountancy job. Well, today we're joined by Margaret Doyle, a tutor at Selbridge Career Path, and by Dean Malone, who's a student at the centre, who's now back in school to study for his Leaving Cert for the second time. You're both very welcome. Dean, you know Liam, don't you?
Yeah, myself and Liam were both on the course. He was there before I started, and we're still in contact now at the moment. And he was a real good friend while I was there, real helpful when it was.
Margaret, we were discussing dyslexia, and it can be very difficult for people to actually find out if they suspect that maybe there is a problem, that they have dyslexia. How do they get help? How do they find out if they have, first of all?
Most people discover it in school nowadays, but in the past, people were just left at the back of the classroom and neglected, and they didn't discover until they were much later in years. We get a lot of students on the course like that, and they feel hard done by not being discovered a bit earlier than they did. Yeah.
Dean, when your dyslexia was diagnosed, it explained an awful lot of things to you, didn't it, about what went on in the past? How was the dyslexia discovered?
Well, I was actually finished school. I had done my leaving, and I was just sitting at home, and I needed to do something. So I went into a FOSS centre, and I was talking to a lady in there for about 5 minutes, and within that 5 minutes she said that I could possibly be dyslexic, and they sent me from there onto the career path in Selbridge, and the ball just went rolling.
Do you mean that for years nobody had said this, and it took this woman just 5 minutes?
Nobody had even hinted that, you know, I could have been dyslexic. I was always class, you know, I was a slow student, you know, but it's different now. There's a lot of more things in place for kids in school too.
Presumably, though, you felt, well, you know, I'm as smart as everyone else. That's not what's going on here, did you?
Well, no. When you've been told over and over and over again for many years that, you know, you're slow, like, you know, you're not getting things, you start to believe them, and it's something that you have to break yourself, and it takes, you know, something spectacular in your life, or, you know, just a wake-up call just to realise that you're not.
Margaret, do you find that going back to school like that is something that can be very difficult for some of the students that you come across?
Yeah, well, Dean is the first student that has actually gone back to his Leaving Cert. Most of the other students will go on to do third level education. They might get in as mature students when they're over 23, or start off with a PLC course and work their way up to third level that way.
You brought in something that really helps all of them, whether it's doing the Leaving Cert or going on to third level, because technology has advanced to an extent where it now helps with dyslexia.
Yeah.
This is fascinating.
I've brought in a few programs to show you that are great help to people, especially going on to third level education.
Yeah. So how does it work? How can a computer help with dyslexia?
Well, one way is that we can actually talk to the computer and it can type what we say. Say I want to send an email. I just turn on my microphone. Would you like to meet me in that new restaurant on Saturday at 3 o'clock? Question mark. New line. Margaret.
And Margaret, how can the programme help people with dyslexia?
It can fix their spellings because they can hear the text read back to them. And then they say, oh, I made a mistake there, I better fix that. So they highlight that and fix it, or say the word to the computer and it'll probably pick it up. Another huge advantage is for students who are studying specialised subjects, say science. They can train the computer to recognise a whole load of science words. They can scan in their textbook.
Yeah.
So the computer can recognise chapters in their textbook. And when they say those words then in their essays and that, the computer is saying them straight away.
Brilliant. It's real cooperation between the computer and the person using it.
It is.
What if your accent is very strong?
Yeah, that's a disadvantage for some people. If you have a lisp or any speech impediment, it can be a difficulty, or a very strong accent. But I've found that most accents can be recognised.
Well, it's a very useful tool for people with dyslexia then. A useful trick for recognising words is to know part of a word. Sometimes longer words are made up of smaller words, like classmates is class and mates stuck together. Here are some pointers on how to recognise the building blocks that make up larger words.
You can use root words to help you when you're learning to spell new words. So what is a root word? A root word is a small word with nothing added at the beginning or the end. For example, the word safe is a root word. And so is clear. When you add extra letters to a root word, you make new words. For example, safe can be used to make the new words unsafe and safely, while clear can be used to make the words unclear and clearly. These words have grown from the root word clear. They all contain the root word and they are linked in terms of meaning, so they are known as a word family. When you are trying to figure out a spelling, if you start with a root word, you can add to the end of it to make new words. For example, take the word cook. If we add bits to the end of this word, we can make lots of new words. For example, if we add er to cook, we get cooker. If we add ing, we get cooking. And if we add s, we get cooks. Here are some more examples. Take the root word walk. If you add ed, you get walked. Start with the root word friend and add on ly, and you get friendly. Or the root word care. When you add ful, you get careful.